CBDC, central bank digital currencies, are being implemented and tested right now today all around the world. Central banks are doing it. They're going for it with one end in mind: to control your money. And if they can control your money, they can control your life. And in this video, I'm going to talk about the steps that are being taken today, what you can do, the actions you need to take, because of what is being displayed so far is already beyond what we should be allowing. And yet they have much more planned. I'll get into all that. Let's begin with this. I'm bringing the biggest news up front. I want you to see this. If you haven't already, Brazilian CBDC code could allow the government to freeze funds. It is in the code. It is written there. It is not a secret, and I will show you in a second that the actual code, the links will be in the description under the sources. As opponents, the central bank digital currencies warn that digital fiat could give governments a greater degree of control over people's lives. A blockchain developer in Brazil, who claims to have reverse engineered the source code for the country's pilot CBDC, says he discovered functions within the code that would allow the central authority to freeze funds or reduce balances. Now you got to think about things that have happened before in the past where they have actually gone about this and actually stopped people's accounts. They have done it, they'll do it again. With the CBDC, they have full disclosure and full control. They can implement this instantly. As soon as you end up on their naughty list, you're gone. You don't have access to your bank account. Now, maybe it was an accident. Maybe it was somebody with the same name. How many of those on the no-fly list ended up in these circumstances? Well, that could be you, and that's why this is not a good thing. And yet, every government is going about it. But it goes even beyond that, because they're not willing to simply do this within their own borders. No, now we are going to actually give up even further control by connecting in with a super international body such as the BIS, the Bank for International Settlements. So imagine the BIS is at the top. They are the ones that facilitate the transactions in between the other central banks, so you have even less authority and control over the whole circumstance. Now that doesn't sound very fun. So we've got to geographically diversify where our investments are. We need to make better decisions. Let's get into that more in a second. I wanted to cover a couple notes here. Well, he basically said that he was doing this with the intention of exploring possible vulnerabilities and purely educational purposes. Okay, so of course he's covering his behind, but it makes it very clear. The most concerning functions include a disable account function that disables an account authorized to transfer tokens, and an enable account function that enables previously disabled account for token transfers, the ability to increase or decrease the balance of a wallet address, the ability to pause token transfers for a specific wallet, and the ability to transfer tokens from one wallet to another and burn them. Okay, there are more in here, of course. It's not in production yet. This isn't out to the people yet. But we know that all of these central bank digital currencies will have that. Just like today, it is up to the government working with, maybe some sort of central authority and the bank that they can kind of go in there and they could cut you off. But now it's a simple button press. It's probably going to be implemented using some level of artificial intelligence to do this automatically. If you do a certain task, immediately there will be, within seconds, there will be a trigger that is put through and you do not have access to your capital. And that's just the way it goes. It will be bank-wide because they're all going to have to follow along with the central bank digital currency rules. That is not funny, and that is not something that we should be really, just glancing over. This is the actual code from GitHub. You could see it for yourself. Links are in the description under the sources. All right, here we have it. Digital currency, yuan, comes with an expiry date. Spend it, or it will vanish. Now, you probably heard of this before. They were one of the pioneers of the central bank digital currency, brought this out to millions and millions of people, and there was an expiry. The difference here, I'm going to need to make this distinction, is that it does not look like the official rollout of the digital yuan will have an expiry date on it. So that is not something they're doing. It's because of the pilot project and they want people to spend it. They're forcing that because they are trying to, do their research. That's why it has an expiry date. That is very important. You won't hear that out there because it doesn't get you the clicks. Will they do an expiry date? It's possible if there's a certain emergency or if they need to do it for a particular reason. Oh, yes, they will do so. But it is specifically for that beta test in which they did so. That's what I want to make clear right here. And now, BRICS, 130 countries move towards CBDC currency, and that puts the US dollar in jeopardy. It's more than that, of course. It's not just about, going towards this CBDC that suddenly that hits the US dollar. Not really, because it will be another US dollar based CBDC. But what I see at this time is multiple different circumstances. So you're going to have perhaps a BRICS currency. You're going to have maybe another one for just Asia or another one for just Americas. There are going to be these competing levels of currency out there, and it is going to have an impact on the US dollar, but it will still be a while before, nobody wants to use the US dollar. US dollar is used in trade all around the world today, and it is a very strong currency in relation to the other currencies. So a lot of countries want to hold it, a lot of countries want to keep it. But suddenly, if you were doing most of your transactions with, let's just say, China, it would make sense to utilize in those transactions their currency or the BRICS currency or whatever they decide, instead of using a US dollar. But that will take time. So we need to make that clear. But a lot of countries, their currencies are so weak against the US dollar, of course they don't want to use it. It makes complete sense. All right. Here we have the New York Fed says that its months-long test on digital dollar shows the speed advantage. Of course, they've been doing this. This is just a test. They have the Fed Now system in place, of course. That is important. But they also are testing out this central bank digital currency, what it would be, and just purely in a fantasy state. But that's really what's coming. We know that they are testing this. We know that they're trying to implement this. 24 central banks will have digital currencies by 2030, according to the Biz. They are coming. It is happening. And I think it is very important that we get wise to it all. If interest rate cuts come next year, then experts are predicting the US dollar to sink even further. Deutsche Bank predicts that US stocks will return to volatility and in turn decimate investors across asset classes. Real estate, stocks and bonds, cryptocurrency, they could suffer massive losses yet again. It's morbidly hilarious, isn't it? Still, after all the drama, everyday Americans still get the short end of the stick, except for the ones that are smart enough to diversify, hold real assets like art with a company like Masterworks. Masterworks is giving investors like you access to a luxury commodity with a store of value potential, one that has outpaced the S&P 500 by 136% over the last 27 years, with a history of price appreciation through a time period of weak dollar, high inflation, high interest rates, and more. It's not gold or oil, it's fine art. Masterworks has generated over $45 million worth of art sales and distributed the net proceeds. And with recent exits delivering annualized returns of, check this, 17.8%, 21.5%, and 35%. It's easy to see why offerings have sold out within hours. Over 750,000 people have signed up so far. And with the markets rapidly approaching a crossroads, demand for Masterworks is growing by the day. But my subscribers can skip the wait list and start their collection today. Just click the link in the description. Just like you have to diversify, other countries are diversifying, and you could see a de-dollarization that's taking place. Here we have it right now. You could see the BRICS bloc has been implementing various strategic measures to conduct trade using local fiat currencies instead of the greenback. So they're doing what you should be doing. You shouldn't be holding just one currency. You should be investing your capital in as many different places as you possibly can. Holding those real assets is going to allow you to withstand a crisis. But having your assets coming from different places as well is also important. Geographical diversification is something that is completely undisclosed for the most and vast majority of people. They just don't understand it, and that's why we need to discuss that here and now. You could see these countries are saying, we do not want this one-way road anymore. That's not benefiting us. We need to do something else. Okay, here we go. China and Russia and other BRICS allies have a medium to long-term ambition to create a dollar rival as a currency, according to an official. This is going to happen right now in August. They are meeting up at the BRICS summit, and they are going to discuss potentially the release or at least the announcement of a new BRICS currency. Stay tuned to this channel where I will bring you all of those details. Russia confirms BRICS will create a gold-backed currency. Big news. This is huge. I've been holding on to a lot of this data to bring it here into this one video. I think it is very important, not just for this one country, of course, but what it means for the US dollar and the whole world. China continues to de-dollarize reserves as gold stockpile climbs for the 8th straight month. What does that signal? What does that mean for China? Are they suddenly not interested in US dollars? No, it's been a trend for several years now. Same situation. It's not just China. India is now pushing for de-dollarization by touting the use of the rupee for trade. So all of these different countries are going towards a new way of looking at things where they say, you know what, US dollar, forget that. I'll use it when I have to, but if I don't have to, I'm going to use this other thing. And along the way, we see these new rise of a new monetary system being built. The last time it was extremely disruptive. It hurt a lot of people, a lot of businesses. Countries got the strength from it. Other countries got weak from it. So we've got to be aware of this. And so we got to, number one, pay attention. Number two, that means we do not know what this new system will be exactly, but it's going to be based on a central bank digital currency, one that they can simply turn off when they decide. So you got to watch out. Are you in the good books or maybe not so much? You've got to have businesses and operations in different countries because they're going to be operating in different ways. It is not that difficult to have bank accounts and assets and things in other countries. When you have very little resources, I understand it's hard, but we've got to do what we can to spread that out to make a difference because it will be an issue into the near future. It isn't 2050 or beyond your lifetime. It is right now happening today. It is being implemented. So let's pay attention. Let's watch out. There are other countries that are using their own currencies. This is what that article was all about. You've got this, the dollar's grip as the dominant global currency is loosening. Credit agency S&P Global top economist said. Very big news. And then we have the central bankers laying out the digital currency cyber threat. So already we haven't even gone into this realm and they're starting to say, oh, but by the way, it could be hacked real easy. That's the type of thing that I worry about. And I'm bringing it around full circle because each and every day you're using cash. They want to ban that stuff. They're going to get rid of that stuff. There's not going to be cash central bank digital currency. That's not what it is. You're going to use your phone, you're going to tap, you're going to use your plastic, you're going to tap. And this is the type of thing that is going to be implemented very easily at some point. Every place will have it. There will be no acceptance of cash at some point. It's going to take a while to roll out, but understand that it's coming. We have to diversify our assets. We have to be willing to look outside the box and start to invest that way. And investments might be a second passport. Investments might be flag theory, where you have different operations in different places. But these are the things that we have to do, because if you look at the wealthy and what they do not invest like regular people. People just look at Warren Buffett. This guy is a very different circumstance. And by the way, when he wants to give money to his kids, he donates $5 billion to this charity, which happens to be the charity that his kid runs. Oh, and by the way, $5 billion this way to the other charity. These people are doing things on a whole different level. It isn't the way it seems. We have to be aware. Like if you're just trying to make money in this, 5%, or you're trying to pick the new Tesla, it is going to, over a very long period of time, over decades, it's going to hurt you. You got to be aware of all this. If you want to know everything, top to bottom, about CBDCs, central bank digital currencies, I break it down right here in this video. I explain all the details, everything from point A to point B. You can get it right here. Make sure you click this video, and I'll see you there.